All right, if you look back to some music videos of just giant concerts, 70s, even early 80s, and before them, everyone there was skinny. Or even they have some videos where they'll just be like people on a beach during this time period as well. Everyone was skinny. Nobody was fat. Nobody. These guys were doing drugs, drinking alcohol, and yet they were still all skinny. And look at us now. We're all extremely fat. In the 70s is when the Kellogg's and the whole cereal really took off. You start seeing for breakfast, people are eating sugary meals like cereals and stuff like that, and toaster strudel. I know I did that as a kid growing up as well. And fast food exploding from that point as well. And our diets have just never been the same. How could we have been so skinny and suddenly, so quickly, gained so much weight to where it's gotten to the point where it's accepted, and you can't even, they call it shaming now. You can't point out an issue. I mean, I got bullied whenever I was young for weight, for having too much weight. You know, I thought, you know what? Let me do something about this. But when you take that element away for fear of hurting people's feelings, because you can't have your feelings hurt. You simply cannot have your feelings hurt. You cannot feel failure. But in reality, there is no such thing as failure. There is success and there is learning. But not in today's society. There is no failure. You cannot fail. So you therefore cannot shame someone. So that way they can't see their symptoms and want to fix them. They'll just remain a victim, and you're the problem for letting them know that they are clearly unhealthy, and that somehow being fat is healthy because they are comfortable with it. It's so ass backwards. Okay, besides the food that's changed since then, what happens? What do we start taking at 6 months old as a baby every single year for the rest of our lives? Like this is, almost mandatory. I wouldn't say fully mandatory, but it's just recommended and everyone just does it, right? The flu V, right? Can't say that word, can't say the V word, but the flu V, right? You start taking it at 6 months. You have to take so many V's whenever you're a baby, but right, starting at 6 months, you take the flu V. And what are some of the things that are in the flu V? Because you can look this up. It's completely open knowledge to us. So one of those ingredients, because there's about 50 in these cocktails, one of them is hydrocortisone, which most commonly known as prednisone as a medication, right? And what that does is it's an anti-inflammatory, sure, but it's also an immune suppressant. Why would you want to suppress, especially someone that young's, immune system? I mean, this V is advertised to bolster your immune system against the flu, and yet it's suppressing it. Also, in published studies of hydrocortisone, it states that hydrocortisone causes spinal column disorders. So we've seen that now. We definitely didn't have that in the past. We have that now. Lots of people have spinal column disorders. Another ingredient is Medine-Darby kidney cells. Medine-Darby, what's that? Those are Cocker Spaniel liver cells. The dog, canine. Medine-Darby canine kidney cells. So you're getting dog cells put into you as well. Dog, Cocker Spaniel, liver cells. And why those cells? Well, those cells in all of nature are the most susceptible to getting infected. So now you have your immune system mitigated, and now the most infectable cells put into you in this cocktail. And that's just 2 ingredients. So another one would be formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is only used in preserving bodies. It fossilizes your cells permanently. Why would that need to be in there? And another one is polysorbate 80, which its only job is to punch holes in the blood-brain barrier to assist in moving the additives from the V into your body, right? Through the blood-brain barrier. Well, What else is also in the cocktail, right? You have mercury, you have aluminum. So these are now able to pass through the blood-brain barrier thanks to polysorbate 80. I mean, the organ most commonly known to get infected from the flu is the lungs. Why would you need Cocker Spaniel kidney cells? Why would you need kidney cells injected into you for a lung virus? I mean, what happened to herd immunity? They teach this, herd immunity, but that's something that's completely fallen by the wayside. You cannot possibly build up your own immune system. You need help. So, the reason I listed all of these things, right, is you have crazy diets, crazy in the sense that they're horrible now, horrible, that stacks up year after year, and then since birth, you've been also getting injections, V's, year after year that are destroying your temple, your body. That coupled with food and the least amount of exercise, we're the most sedentary ever, at least in these first world countries, it's just a recipe for failure. That's where we're at right now. That's what we've been set up by our government. You can claim it's all the corporations, but the corporations are backed by our government. It's an attack on all of us. What you do is you make a suppressed and weak people that can no longer think clearly, but also fight back to these injustices that are constantly being thrust upon us. I mean, just recently, what was it? Biden passed some whatever ordinance law. I don't know. I don't care about that stupid terminology. I don't even care about politics. But that U.S. Military can kill U.S. citizens for protesting against these policies. Against these policies are coming out. So now they just have the bar. It's like, we're gonna do crazy policies, and if you disagree with them, you protest with them, we have the right to kill you on our own soil, our own military, our own government. I mean, you already have a weak enough people. Set the bar for that as well. I mean, you couldn't set up a better scenario for 1984 to happen over again. We're watching this unfold, but that's why on the same foot we're seeing channels like this and lots of other channels starting to grow rapidly. I wouldn't say mine's growing rapidly, but other channels definitely are growing rapidly, and it's great to see because a lot of people are seeing this need for taking your health back into your own hands, taking your mind, your life back into your own hands, and we have the abilities, and it's never too late. It's never too late to do that. So there's plenty of hope. And all, movies like to depict this end of the world type scenario, or these apocalypse times and stuff like that, and how it'll turn, it could potentially turn to like a Wild West sort of scenario. They're all going off of this old basis, these old predictions of old stories where apocalypses have happened, but never like this. So all this fear mongering about what would happen during an apocalypse is not as applicable to this scenario, because this is a form, like, not just are we spiritually, physically, everything leveling up, but the whole world, the plane that we live on, is also as well. Everything is always trying to get better, to progress, right? And that's happening on a overall scale for everything at the same time. So we all, like, the frequency is going up, and that didn't apply to these other apocalypses. I guess to some degree it was a purging of lower frequencies to make room for higher frequencies, but it's an exponential thing, right? So when the bar is that low, it's not that much higher, right? But you finally get to the point where we're at now, the bar is quite high, because as a consciousness, we're seeing a lot of these lies and finding a lot more of these truths that have always been around, just rediscovering them. So it's reaching a breaking point, and that's why it's the most exciting time to be alive It's never too late to take your health into your own hands and empower yourself. And we have all the tools to do it, and it's so simple. It's supposed to be so simple. It's not supposed to be complex. So that's all I have for today.